Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Big Rican on Sports podcast. I am your host. I am the Big Rican. Today is Friday, February the 25th, 2022. I come to you twice this weekend. Tonight, just myself, and tomorrow will be the Wise Guys Sports Show, month of February, part 2. Tomorrow night, Jim and I will dive into the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we will get into what I'm going to talk about tonight. The episode title tonight is Dear Mr. Commissioner. After I get a few things out, this will be an open letter to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. Cover a couple things first. Number one, congratulations to the Cleveland Cavaliers on winning the All-Star skills competition at the NBA All-Star game in Cleveland. Lots to get into with them tomorrow night, but I will say this. I find it very funny that a certain person said he was Cleveland's third All-Star this past weekend. Not an all-star for the Los Angeles Lakers. So we'll get into that tomorrow with Jim. I want to say thank you to Alex again from Row 7 for being on the Wise Guys Sports Show Part 1. That was the night before the Super Bowl, which was a great game, which won me a little money in the family pool because I had 44 points and the Rams winning. It was 1 point away from having the final score, but not to be. Congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams, the Super Bowl champions for this year. Cooper Kupp, a phenomenal game, even after the injury to Odell Beckham. When you knew they were getting him the ball, he still got the ball. He still caught the winning touchdown. And congratulations to Matthew Stafford. After many, many years in Detroit, where there was no chance of winning, he goes 1 year to LA and he wins a Super Bowl. Good for him. Other things that are coming up. The Big Rican mock draft will be March 19th. 2022, there will be 4 of us. Alex from Row 7 will make his second consecutive appearance. Jim, JC Blue Note, my co-host on the Wise Guys Sports Show and the host of the JC Blue Note, host of it, the writer of the JC Blue Note blog, he will be on there, and as will Willie from the Shakeback Media Group and the Ballers Report podcast. We're going to bring all the boys together. We're going to have a fun time. I was going to do this last weekend, and I was too angry. I was going to do this last weekend and make my first ever non-kids friendly edition of the podcast. I'm 120 some odd episodes in, and I would have done that because I was so mad that Samuel L. Jackson would have been worried about my vocabulary. This is supposed to be our time. So here goes. To Commissioner Rob Manfred, Commissioner of Major League Baseball. You absolute piece of trash. How dare you ruin this game? You locked the players out 84 days ago and made no good faith attempts to avoid what you did earlier this week. You set a hard date to cancel games. It has been 28 years since that stain on this game was first laid on us by labor strife with the strike in 1994 and the canceling of the first World Series since World War I. How do you sleep at night? How do you take this wonderful game and destroy it and not care? How can you look these players in the face and think you're negotiating good faith? You're not going to give anything up. We all knew you were full of it 2 years ago when you decided you weren't going to go over 60 games, but never said that to the players. You have never negotiated in good faith. You are trying to take money away from the minor leaguers. Really, the minor leaguers? You arrogant SOB. How can you be in charge of the greatest game on the planet? You can't even put your pants on probably without help. You moron. You are wasting the primes of guys who are first ballot Hall of Famers without breaking a sweat. You are causing me to possibly miss something that could set all kinds of records and bring a championship to Queens for the first time in 36 years. You are causing this game to lose more fans because the men you work for don't want to continue paying the salaries they set the mark for. You cannot blame a player for taking a contract that sets his family for the next 5 generations. You cannot blame a player for taking a contract that blows away anything anybody who watches the game could ever dream of ever earning. But here you sit trying to take money from the players, because this is what it's about, guys. It's about money. It's always about money. 94 was about money because they didn't want a salary cap. 94 was about steroid testing. And 94 was about fair play. That's why the players walked out. The players were locked out this time. This was not their choice. They did not go into this and say, you know what, we're just not going to play. They want to play. They want to play. Valentine's Day was 2 weeks ago. After celebrating with my wife, I should have been watching highlights of the Mets taking live batting practice and seeing Max Scherzer pitch to Pete Alonso and pitch to Starling Marte and pitch to Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar and Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor and Dom Smith. But I'm not seeing that. I'm watching highlight videos on YouTube to get my baseball fix. I'm almost going to bust into the DVDs and watch the no-hitter from 2012 again. Sidebar, it's been 10 years since Santana threw the no-hitter. Wrap your head around that. Commissioner Manfred, you are supposed to be the steward of the game. You are supposed to be the overseer of the game. And the only thing, sir, you are overseeing is the biggest joke of contract labor negotiations in the history of labor negotiations. This is an absolute atrocity. You're not making good faith offers. You're not talking about the issues the players have brought to the table because you don't care. But I hate to break it to you. All the money the owners think they're going to lose if they don't do this, they're going to lose more. Because eventually, all parks will end up looking like Shea Stadium did after the Tom Seaver trade. You think no one's going to Tampa and Miami now? Forget it. No one's going to want to go. No one's going to want to pony up the amount of money it costs to go to a Major League Baseball game and take a family and sit there and eat and everything else. I'm not ashamed to say it. I went to opening day at Citi Field in 2018. I spent almost $400 on 2 tickets. I spent almost $400 on 2 tickets, and I couldn't even sit in the seats because they make them so small. Big dudes like me can't sit there. I buy merchandise, hence the shirt. The hat collection that my wife will kill me for. I love this game. This is the first love of my life. I wanted this game to be the way I made my living, the way I supported my family. I wanted to pitch at Shea Stadium. I wanted to be Tom Seaver or Dwight Gooden or Ron Darling or David Cohn. You and your cronies are killing the game, sir. I know this will never get to your ears. I know this will be just me ranting into my camera on a platform that my however many listeners will listen to. But at the end of the day, I needed to get this off my chest. You are allowing this wonderful game to erode to not being relevant. You short-sighted egomaniac. You are allowing multimillionaires to billionaires nickel and dime the men who put the product on the field. It is time for you to be the commissioner and not their crony. Step up, get a deal done. There is not a single player I blame for this. None. I said in our last episode, you need to be physically beaten. I am willing to do it myself. This is ridiculous. We should be talking about who's doing what in spring training, trying to make a 26-man roster, not worrying if we're going to miss games. Not worrying if March 31st is going to come and go, and we're not going to see baseball. And we're not going to get Jacob deGrom and Steven Strasburg on opening day, or Patrick Corbin, whichever one goes. And whichever one of those two doesn't pitch opening day, we're not going to see them pitch against Max Scherzer the next day. Home runs onto the berm in Port St. Lucie should be happening every day now. They're not. You are trying to rob the minor leaguers of a way to support themselves when they are chasing their dream. How dare you? How dare you? Unless you are willing to turn Major League Baseball into the NFL and make college your pipeline into the pros, how dare you? I don't know how you have been worse than Bud Selig, but you've been worse than Bud Selig. And don't get me started on the universal DH. The sheer fact that I have to sit here on a Friday night with snow on the ground and not be able to get up tomorrow and flip on my television and hear Gary, Keith, and Ron call a Met game and just make me a little warmer on a cold day, that's on your head, sir, and no one else's. See, Hank Steinbrenner's on the committee that's negotiating with the players. There's a wonderful idea. Do you not want Steve Cohen on that committee because you know he'd get the deal done right away and you want to drag this out? You idiot. If I was a fair weather fan, I'd give up. And that there, sir, is why baseball is losing. That is why the media believes baseball is dying. Because of garbage like this. And the stupidity that is on display in these so-called negotiations every single day. You had 2 months. You locked them out on December 2nd. Last time I checked, it was the 12 days of Christmas, not the 23. You could have got a deal done. Stop being the owner's stooge. Get it done. Stop killing our game. This is not your game, sir. This game belongs to the fans. This game belongs to the people who fill the ballpark and buy the hats and buy the shirts and the jerseys and the shorts and the necklaces and the gloves and the soda and the beer and the ice cream. And the pictures with their children. And the bobbleheads. This is our game, sir. And I personally am getting very, very sick and tired of you ruining it. It's put up or shut up time, Major League Baseball. If you put up, we miss a little spring training. Opening days on time. If you shut up, you can kiss this great game goodbye. the national media will bury it more. They will continue to allow sorry excuses for broadcasters on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball because ESPN doesn't care about you anymore, Rob. You're killing the game. You're killing the thing that fathers and sons and daughters have bonded over since the Civil War. We just celebrated 150 years of baseball in this country. That means 4 years after this country fought a war to reunite itself, professional baseball started. Before the turn of the 20th century, this game had a 30-plus year foothold on this country. And you're killing it. And I know myself and every baseball fan I've talked to, we are tired of it. Stop trying to throw us a bone of more playoffs. Get to the season. There are still those of us who live and die for 162 dates with each team we root for. I'm one of them. I'd love to meet the Mets, Mr. Manfred, but you keep screwing it up. Signed, Mike Martinez, the Big Rican on Sports. Baseball fan since birth. P.S. Resign, you piece of trash. As I mentioned, tomorrow Jim and I will be on. We will discuss the Cavaliers, and we will get into a little bit of this, my open letter to Commissioner Rob Manfred. As always, Big Rican can be found here on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. We can be found on Google, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Ask Alexa. Play Big Rican. On Twitter, at Big Rican on Sport. Take a listen. Tell me what you think. If you disagree with me, tell me. I'd love to debate it with you. But until then, America has moved on like an army of steamrollers. Been erased by like a blackboard. Rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field and this game, it reminds everyone of what was once good and could be again. Don't kill my game anymore.